In this video we visit an ancient stone ring fort. We explore an old military fort and head to Ireland's most northerly point. So join us as we visit the Inishowen Peninsula. Following a drive along a narrow road, we arrived at the car park early, around 9:20, and had the place to ourselves, with only a couple more cars arriving as we left. From the car park we head through the gate and ascend the small amount of steps to the left. Wheelchair users and parents with buggies can use the ramps to climb the hill. Grennan of Ileck is a hill fort that sits atop Grennan Mountain at Inishowen in County Donegal, Ireland. The main structure is a stone ring fort, thought to have been built in the 8th or 9th century, but there is evidence that the site had been in use before the fort had been built, dating back to 1700 BC. The wall is about 4.5 metres or 15 foot thick and 5 metres or 16 foot high. Inside it has 3 terraces which are linked by steps, and it would have had buildings inside the ring fort, but none survive to this day. By the 12th century the kingdom of Ileck had become embattled and lost a fair amount of territory to the invading Normans. According to Irish literature, the ring fort was mostly destroyed by the King of Munster in 1101. Substantial restoration was undertaken in 1870 by Dr. Walter Barnard of Derry, and today the site is an Irish national monument and a tourist attraction. After spending some time at the fort, it was time to head to our next destination of the day, but not before taking a final look at this impressive ring fort. Fort Dunree is a small coastal defence fort located on the west side of the Inishowen Peninsula, County Donegal in Ireland. The fort is located on a rocky outcrop, accessed via a small drawbridge over a natural fissure. The entrance fee at the time of our visit was €7 for adults, but as they were renovating the museum, entrance was free. Here we can see one of the many searchlights that would have been used for the defence of Lough Swilly. As Fort Dunree is a coastal defence fort, it has many gun emplacements like this 12-pounder gun. The bunkers contain a fascinating display of memorabilia and equipment, such as this Trades of the Soldiers display. Here we see one half of the presenting duo Ant and Dec. The gun we see here would have been used to reduce the bore of a larger gun and would have been inserted into the barrel to make it accept and fire smaller shells. There are many guns and searchlight positions at the fort, and this one still has a searchlight inside. As they were renovating the fort, we were unable to visit the museum, so headed to the remembrance wall. From the air you can see Fort Dunree to the lower right on the rocky outcrop. You can also see Dunree Lighthouse straight ahead, and also the scale of the area and the later addition of the top fort sitting atop Dunree Hill. From the car park at Fort Dunree, we headed to the top fort.
Big dear thing.
As we made our way to the top fort on Dunree Hill, we passed many of the huts and buildings the soldiers would have stayed in. They are all derelict and dangerous to enter these days, but some of the old corrugated metal had been put to good use to create the deer sculpture we see here. We continued to climb the steep steps and paths of Dunree Hill, and we were rewarded with incredible views over the nearby bay. You can also see another searchlight position here. This is one of the pillboxes and has some names and graffiti from the soldiers that were stationed here, and also more recent visitors. Loch Swilly has been of immense historical significance. The Norsemen and later the Anglo-Normans and the mercenary soldiers, the gallows glasses, used the Swilly when coming to Ireland. The flight of the Earls O'Neill and O'Donnell into exile took place from Rathmullen in September 1607. Wolfe Tone was captured and taken under naval arrest into Buncrana in 1798. Near to the spot where Wolfe Tone was brought ashore in 1798, a small fort was erected to guard against the possible return of a French invasion fleet. In the late 19th century, the fort was modernised and enlarged with a building of the top fort on Dunree Hill. During World War I, it stood guard while Admiral Lord Jellicoe's fleet anchored in Loch Swilly, prior to engaging the German Navy at the Battle of Jutland. Control of the fort was transferred to the Irish Free State just before World War II. During World War II, Irish forces were stationed at Fort Dunree to prevent the warring nations violating the country's neutrality. Today, Fort Dunree houses a fascinating display of military memorabilia and artefacts, as well as an array of large guns from the 20th century. We made our way back down Dunree Hill, passing the deer sculpture once again as we headed back to the car park. Once at the car park we can see the armoured personnel carrier and the impressive artillery gun display. The artillery gun display is second only to the collection in Malta. From the car park we tried to make our way to Dunree Lighthouse, but there is no access to it as the gate is padlocked. The only way to see it closely was by using the drone, as can be seen here. Also at the car park worth noting is what's been called Ireland's most scenic cafe, and with stunning views over Lough Swilly it's hard to disagree. Across the road from the coffee shop is a path that leads down to the slipway. You can hire a kayak or go snorkeling from here. You can also see the natural fissure that separates Fort Dunree from the headland. We then headed back to the car park one last time to head to our final destination of the day, Malin Head. Malin Head is Ireland's most northerly point. There is not much there apart from the old Coast Guard buildings and a few snack vans. There is also the Era 80 sign that was used during World War II to let pilots know they were entering neutral airspace. Also, if you haven't guessed it already, it gets incredibly windy here, although this is a relatively lighter wind than normal for here. From this viewpoint you can just see the Era 80 sign, which was used during World War II to let pilots know they were entering neutral airspace. There is a souvenir stall selling keyrings, fridge magnets and pictures, and also a viewing platform here with telescopes, although none of those were in operation. We took one final view of the coastline before heading home after an amazing day. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and if you do that, hit the notification bell to be notified every time I upload a video.